Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 65 of the Powerful Content Podcast. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in your ears today. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that Content Mastery Week, where you can learn how to make more money simply by making a few small changes to your approach to content creation and strategy, starts next week. That's the 13th of June 2023 if you're listening to this in real time. Make sure you jump on in and join us, as we've got an action-packed 4 days ahead of us. I'm going to give you the inside scoop on how to create content quickly and easily, even when you're busy. Find your voice and create content that actually resonates with your ideal client, and really be inspired to become more visible and use your content powerfully to make more money. So jump on over to thecontenteffect.com.au/grow. There's already a growing community of women ready to grow their businesses together and learn how to make more money from their content. So this actually leads me to a topic that I'll be covering off in Content Mastery Week, and that's your message. And this is a biggie really, because without a clear message, your ideal client has no idea that you're the one that they need to solve their problem, or even what their problem is and how you can solve it. Now, I really struggled to find my message for a very, very long time. It probably took me about 5 years, I think, into my business journey before the actual penny dropped. So what I want to share with you today, and what I want to share with you in Content Mastery Week, is how you can save the pain that I went through for 5 years and really come up with a message that resonates with not only your ideal client, but you as well. But before we talk about a message that really matters, we need to understand what powerful content is. Now, powerful content is creating content with a purpose, mindful of the person consuming it, because there is a human on the other end of every single piece of content we create, and creating it in a way that really feels aligned for you. Okay, so that's two sides: the who we're talking to, and the you bringing your content to the world. So are you kind of getting a clue already what might be missing from your message? The who you're probably all over. Am I right? I'm sure I'm right. Most of us have a very good idea of who we are here to serve. If you're not quite sure, make sure that you go and check out my unboring ideal client avatar. I'll pop the link in the show notes for you. And this is not any old avatar workbook. It's really going to guide you to think differently about your ideal client and think about how you can connect with them. So if you're not sure about who your ideal client is, make sure that you go and grab that free resource. So an extension of the who, or being mindful of them when you actually create content, is the what. So this is really about knowing the possibilities that you create in your ideal client's life when you work with them. What can they be? What can they do? What can they have as a result of working with you? I usually like to apply the so what factor to this exercise, in the nicest way, of course. I'm not being mean about it. But you know, when you read a social media post and you think, wow, yes, that's really me, and I'd love to be able to do that, and I need that thing, that means that the person writing it has been able to dig deep enough into the so what factor to make you care, to make you see that you care, to make you realize that you have got a problem big enough that's bothering you, and they can showcase how to help you solve it. Now, as a side note, inside the Content Effect, we have a resource about tapping into that so what factor so that you can really start to create content that really resonates and encourages your ideal client to see through to your call to action. So that's really the who and the what when it comes to your message. And whilst the what may be a little bit more difficult to articulate, the who you've usually got covered. So both of those things, yeah, you kind of probably got them. But it's the why or the you that's so often missing from a message. It's not that you haven't followed a 6-part formula correctly. I know that I search high and low for that perfect formula to be able to create my message, and it just never really sat well with me. It's not that you've inserted the wrong word into a pre-made statement or you haven't spent enough time mulling over the who and the what. It's quite simply the why or the you. And when you're missing that why, you're doing yourself an absolute disservice. You're actually helping your competition because your ideal client can see themselves in your message because you've got the who happening. They can really identify themselves and say, yes, that's me that they're talking to. They can see the possibilities of working with you and are excited by that prospect because you can really articulate that what factor, the possibilities that you bring to their life. But they're not quite sure that it's you that they need to do it with. So in essence, you are doing your competitor's job for them because you are calling them out. You are showing them what their problem is. You're saying this is how you can actually solve it, but you go and find someone else to work with. So what can you do to solve this? The answer is really quite simple. It may be a little bit daunting, but what I want you to do is to bring more you to your content. Now, if this feels scary for you, then I want you to know that you get to choose how you do this. There is no cookie cutter approach to bringing more you to your content. Bringing more you doesn't necessarily mean doing lives every day, recording videos, making reels, posting selfies, sharing all your personal details or history. Yes, all those things can help, but it's actually more about giving your ideal client the opportunity to connect and identify with you and the stories that you have to tell. And side note here, if you believe, like I used to, that you have no stories to tell, go and revisit episode 7, Connecting with Your Audience Through Story with Romina Cavagnola. I'll make sure I pop the link in the show notes for you. But when you're sharing those stories, think about what is the meaning? What meaning can you apply to this particular story? What is the opportunity that you have to connect with your ideal client through your content? And how can they begin to know that you and you only are the person for them? Because if we really think about the client journey, the phases in the client journey of connect, subscribe, nurture, convert, and onboard, we can also see that if we never give them the opportunity to connect with us through this content that has more of us in it, then they'll never ever move through the client journey with you. They'll never sign up to your email list. You'll never get the opportunity to nurture them, and they certainly will never purchase from you. So what I really want you to do is to ditch the formulas, the swipe files, the templates that you think you need to create a message that matters. Ditch the hours of overanalyzing the DIY courses, downloading the workbooks, and simply focus on the ways that you can bring more you to your content in a way that feels easy, simple, and good. Now, I understand that this is all well and good in theory, and you're probably feeling some resistance to what I'm saying right now. I usually find that with my members inside the Content Effect. As soon as I really encourage them to bring more you to their content, there is always that resistance at first, but once they push through that and are able to see the benefits of actually bringing more you to your content, then amazing things happen. So maybe you've got some beliefs around bringing more you to your content and what that actually means. And I want you to think about this for a moment. Is it something like, I have to divulge personal information? I have no interesting stories to share with my audience. People will judge me. My personal life is irrelevant to my business life. Or perhaps it might be you're saying to yourself, it's unprofessional. But as soon as we switch this perspective and say things like, I get to set the boundaries of what I share. Everything I do has an opportunity for learning and growth, stories and meaning. The people that matter will care. I can form meaningful relationships in any situation, and I get to choose how I interact with my audience. Then you will feel a shift in how you show up for your ideal client. Now, if you want to find out more about the practicalities of how you can actually do this, how you can bring more you to your content in a way that feels simple, easy, and aligned for you, then make sure that you've signed up to Content Mastery Week, as I'll be walking you through exactly how I and my members are beginning to craft messages that matter simply by bringing more you to their content. The link is in the show notes. I hope to see you there. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.